Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 33rd episode of the Gamer Culture Show. Today is Monday, March 13th, 2017.
Oh, did you guys notice? There's something new.
I haven't noticed because I'm not looking. Oh, look at that. The frame is different. What? It's actually really cool looking. I like it.
In a second, I'm going to go see it.
It's more like 3D now.
Yeah.
I dig it. Anyway, back to my poorly written script. Gamer culture is the drive, passion, and dedication to all things in gaming by the Grand Geek Gathering. The ever-changing world of gamer culture involves communities of all types, the evolving industry that surrounds us, and the people who use it for the betterment of all. Now on to Character Select, who is here with me today. Who are you?
I mean, it's just Bookworm and I. We're pretty much here every time.
That's fair point. That's fair point. We've got the wild card.
Yeah, we're pretty much stuck here with you. I don't know what inhuman ceremony ritual you performed, but
we've also got the Bookworm.
Yeah, I'm here too. I am unfortunately sick. I have a cold, so I'm gonna sound a little funny this episode. But other than that, I'm fine. So, are we gonna go over a question?
Also, I'm Kuma. Hi.
Is this how you got two shows?
We have two shows?
I don't know. It's a Whose Line Is It Anyway reference.
Oh. Man, I haven't watched Whose Line ever. Question of the week. I mean, not really, because we've just got a topic that we're going to be talking about a bit. So we've got Mass Effect Andromeda coming out pretty soon. Raise your hands, those of you who are excited.
Wait, am I in the camera?
Probably. I would hope.
Okay.
If Car did his job correctly, you're in camera.
Maybe.
No, I was checking.
So we got Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah, we can see your hand. So we've got Mass Effect Andromeda coming out pretty soon. I'm excited. We're all excited. Once it comes out, none of us are going to have any sort of social life whatsoever. Gamer cultures are going to shut down completely. It'll be a barren wasteland.
No. I'm gonna stream it.
He's going to stream it. The rest of us you'll never hear from. We're going to be just dead to the world.
You should also stream it.
I don't know if I would want to stream that.
Because everyone's choices are different. And
that's true.
Unless y'all guys are playing girls.
I mean, bitch, you don't know me.
I've done it.
I mean, I've done it too, but I'm just saying.
Well, so have I. Because let's be real, Fem Shep is way better than Male Shep.
Oh. Yeah, the voice acting. Although I have played Male Shep before too. But
so have I. Honestly, he wasn't terrible. It was the fact that he was acting next to Jennifer Hale.
Yeah.
And she brought a really good character to the bus. She brought a really good renegade Shepard. She was a really good renegade.
Yeah, she was.
Paragon Shepard with Jennifer Hale was kind of matronly, I felt. Mm-hmm. It was very stern, disapproving mom all the time. But especially whenever she was talking to the elusive man. But no, Renegade was just like, you are just a stone cold bitch and I love you.
Yeah.
But yes, we got the game coming out really soon. So we were tossing around a question, and by we, I mean Wildcard proposed this question. So if it's bad, blame him.
Fine.
But
I'll take responsibility for all the hate mail and the nudes that are sent.
We have a lot of faith in as a team in each other. It's so great. Such a great team building.
But I didn't do that. But he proposed the question: games that are in the same what's our favorite games that have the same universe but different characters? Which
pretty much
at
like
first
the whole
you're
MCU thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's in the same universe, but with a different set of characters, continuing the story. Apparently what Kingdom Hearts is supposed to do.
It doesn't even have to be continuing the story. It can also be a weird spinoff. I got an example of that with a weird spinoff.
Like Link's crossbow training, except for Link is actually in that one.
We don't count that. That never. Actually, that is
canon.
That is canon. Actually, I have to say that.
By the way, something else I want to point out: I can see Wildcard in both Skype and the Twitch stream.
Oh, that's cool.
That's something that's never happened before.
Yeah, usually we can't see him.
I did that last episode. Are you kidding me?
That's something we've never seen before. Oh yeah, he did do that before, but I think I was watching the stream and not Skype.
Yeah. So.
Also, I have a piss poor memory to just ask Squeaky.
I have a memory of a dead gnat, so I get that.
I think at least 3 times Squeaky's come up with an idea. No one responded to it, and then like a week later, I'm like, guys, I have this great idea. I Timon and Pumbaa her.
She does. You do it all the time, and then she's like, "I said that a week ago." You're like, "Oh."
She's
okay.
even stopped saying that she said it. Now she's just taking pictures and
She
stuff.
takes
Pictures of the conversation, and then posts it immediately after saying it. I'm like, I am so sorry. I completely forgot you said that.
He's not sorry at all.
Sorry.
It's like no wonder this idea popped into my head because I saw it a week ago.
No wonder I thought it was a good idea. It wasn't mine. All right, but no. So Card brought up a really good and interesting kind of thought experiment in, thinking about games that take place in the same universe but have different characters, and not just have like parts in the same universe.
I've never played them, but isn't that the whole Tales series?
Tales doesn't. Okay, unless there's a lore point that I'm completely missing. To my knowledge, none of the Tales games, at least not all of them, take place in the same world. Now, I haven't played Tales of Berseria in probably a month because I've been wrapped up in... I got back into Pokemon Moon, and I've been playing Fire Emblem Awakening, courtesy of Wildcard.
That's another one.
Yep.
Yeah, the Fire Emblem, they're all connected.
Tales of Berseria...
They're not all connected.
No, they're not all. Like, you're right, there are a few of them that are spin-off-y. But it's another game series that kind of falls to this category because a bunch of them are connected. And even the ones that aren't connected, they're spin-offs.
The only one that I know of is Awakening, the one that I loaned to Kuma, is the same world as the first one that Martha's in, like Fire Emblem Gaiden, I want to say.
Or just Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I think there actually is a timeline of them. I'm not going to pull it up, but I know it exists because I've seen it. Showing which ones are connected and which ones are separate timelines.
Half of them were not released in the U.S., so...
That's the other thing, yeah. Half of them weren't. In fact, they're releasing a remake of one that wasn't released in the U.S. in May, I think. It's updated.
The main character's name is Zofia.
Yeah, and it's like
Sophia.
If I remember correctly, it's Fire Emblem 2, but it never came out in the U.S., so they just called it Fire Emblem something else.
I'm looking it up right now. Fire Emblem Echo: Shadows of Valencia.
Yep, it's like a remake of Fire Emblem 2.
Apparently that's supposed to be the hardest one.
Oh God.
Fuck. No, but I was going to say I think Tales of Berseria and Tales of Zestiria take place in the same universe timeline anyway. Guess the universe would be the same.
And then there's the obvious one coming up. That's Mass Effect. I mean, Shepard's story is done. And we're talking about the Ryder siblings now? Is it Ryder?
Yeah, Ryder, R-Y-D-E-R.
And it's interesting because they're going to be... Their knowledge of the galaxy is basically very... Not only is it 400 years out of date, it's 401 because they left at the end... I believe the timeline says they leave it around Mass Effect 2. The same year that 2 is going on. I'm going to assume it takes place after 2 is done. Okay. But it takes place before 3. So it's interesting. I was reading an article on the website Twinfinite. Shout out to them. They're awesome. They did someone did an article about how the genophage is still present in Andromeda. And that makes sense because the genophage, spoilers, wasn't cured until 3.
And even if it was cured, it was only cured for those who were on the planet. So if you weren't on the planet, then you wouldn't be cured. So Udi Krogan, who are in Andromeda, would not have a cure.
Yeah.
Unless there's some story reason for why they would have a cure, like the new beings were able to manufacture one for some reason. They shouldn't be cured.
I kind of hope not. I realize that's a really shitty thing for the Krogan, but I've always felt like that was a really cool part of their culture. The fact that I understand why the rest of the galaxy sees the genophage as a necessity, because without it, the Krogan are basically extremely violent cockroaches with nukes.
Yeah.
And a big warrior culture.
Yeah, so they're warrior cockroaches with nukes that breed like rabbits.
Well, the interesting thing about the Krogan is that, you know, and it's one of the things that reason I like Morden's storyline, is that had they been able to naturally progress and find spaceflight themselves and evolve, they might not be in the situation they are in. But because they were essentially given a bunch of updated technology and they hadn't evolved to be able to process it, and they were still a war culture, they just developed weapons of war and essentially killed their entire planet because they couldn't handle it.
They were given it by the Solarians, right?
Yeah, by the Solarians. They were a species that wasn't ready to become a space-traveling species, and they stepped in and made them one out of necessity because of the Rachni War. And essentially, it was like giving, somebody a blank check and then expecting them to not be irresponsible with it. And that's essentially what they did.
Weren't humans the same way in that? Like, we found...
Humans developed their own space flight. They weren't given anything until after they developed the ability to use the Mass Effect relays.
Which we found the technology on Mars. Like, we found...
We did find... No one gave... We found the technology, reverse engineered it, and then it jump-started our space development, but I don't think, if I'm remembering correctly, it's not the same thing as being handed a ship and being told how to use it. We still had to develop the infrastructure and the technologies to make it all work. So by the time we left Earth, we were pretty good until we, used a Mass Effect relay, dropped into Turian space and then started a war.
So,
because humans.
Yep.
Yeah, but so
we finally get along with each other. I guess we need to kill something else now.
Like I think Morden at one point even states that uplifting them, even though it was necessity, it was wrong because it essentially accelerated their evolution past a point that they couldn't handle because they were still evolving. And basically, as soon as they get nuclear weapons, they firebombed their entire planet, which is why when you visit that planet, it looks like a wasteland.
Husk.
Desolate desert.
Yeah.
So, what are some other games that you guys have played that take place in the same universe, but are completely different characters, or mostly different characters?
Well, shit. Has Final Fantasy ever done that?
Final Fantasy.
There's a bunch of fan theories, but nothing confirmed.
Isn't 12 in the same one as
12 takes place in Ivalice, which is the setting of... Goddamn, which Final Fantasies is it? Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy
Crystal
Tactics.
Chronicles. Tactics, that's it.
And Vagrant Story. Tactics, Vagrant Story, and 12 all take place in Ivalice. Now, I never played Tactics, because I'm not very good at Tactics games. That's why I'm playing Awakening on both normal and casual modes. Which I'm sure we just lost people, if anyone's actually watching. But, I don't know. I wasn't good at those games. Anyway, I never played Tactics, so I don't know what references there might have been because I played 12. I played the shit out of 12. Mm-hmm. The only things I didn't do in 12 were get the final Esper and beat the final Hunt because those were some ridiculous challenges.
Agreed.
What?
I said agreed.
Yeah. Did you ever do it? Because I never beat Yasma. And I never got the final Esper, whose name I forget.
I think I got to Sid, when you're fighting Sid. The mad alchemist dude.
Yeah, the mad doctor, yeah.
I didn't beat him, and I kind of gave up after that.
When it releases on PS4, because they're releasing a remastered version, I'm going to play it and attempt to do it all until hopefully I don't get annoyed and stop. But now that I'm older, I'm thinking I can do it, but we'll see.
By the way, quick little shout out. Today's the 5th anniversary of the game Journey.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a good one. That's a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn near cried.
I did cry. Bald even.
Yeah, that game was up.
And the dude that went with me through the wasteland and all that shit, I want to buy him a beer.
Dude, when I found out that those were actual people... Shit. Oh, yeah. When I found out those were people and you're doing the final push up the snowy mountain, me and him kept we'd get knocked over and we couldn't, it was struggling to get back up. We kept coming back for each other to make sure the other would get up. And I'm it's we're going to get this, we're going to get this together, man. We're going to do it. And then we get to the very top.
It's too bad you die.
and then you get reborn and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
So,
Fuck, that's cheesy. Let's get back on track.
Wait, we had a track?
Kind of.
So
Do we ever really stay on track? We bring up a topic and then just kind of talk.
Yeah, and we try to stay on. And when we have gone so off track, that's usually when we end the show. But we stay on the tangent for we stay on the topic for like a good 30 minutes or so, maybe collectively.
Well,
so,
I don't have any others off the top of my head.
Actually, I think it's hilarious because there's a lot of people who, well, not a lot, but I've seen some people complain about how they don't know how they're going to do Mass Effect without Shepard, and I'm just like, well, that's what they've been doing. Me? That's what they've been doing with the Dragon Age series. You haven't had the same protagonist in every third game.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Shepard was such a blank slate, and that's on purpose. It's so you can make Shepard who you want him to be. Shepard doesn't have a character. Shepard has the character you give him,
or her,
or her.
So that's one of my examples is Dragon Age, because you're never really playing with the same set of characters. You might have one character that comes over, but it's usually majority different cast.
I thought it was all Hawk.
What? No. The first game is the Warden, the second game is Hawk, and the third game is the Inquisitor. But they're all three different people.
Okay. Well, there's an example right there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because you had Dragon Age and Dragon Age Origins, which were both the Warden. But...
Yeah.
Well,
so,
shit,
but I mean,
let's keep going on this BioWare train. Woot woot!
Well,
that's the Old Republic series.
Oh yeah.
You had Revan and the Exile. Oh shit! Spoilers. Sorry.
What? That's the one that we were gonna say. A big universe that is different characters no matter what game you play. Any Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Although I will say that wasn't a good example of doing it right and doing it wrong, because, like, for example, with Assassin's Creed, there's been games where they've changed the protagonists and they've done a real good job, and then they've changed protagonists and they've just been universally hated.
I agree, because Altair was boring. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, he was boring.
Altair was extremely boring.
He's
Ezio
boring and
amazing.
he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Altair is boring. You know,
Can I rant for a second?
I will say one thing. He is a jerk. He gets a little bit redeemed in Revelations if you played Revelations, but just a little. But he is very much a jerk.
I want to say something too before Kuma rants. Yeah, Altair was boring. Ezio was amazing. Connor was shit. Edward was great, and I haven't played Assassin's Creed after that.
Okay. I've got friends who talk about Altair like he's the best thing ever. Like he's the OG assassin. He's so badass. He's just this quiet, brooding, like, I'm gonna go in and get my job done and kill a man. You begin the game by getting your entire squad killed except for your best friend, who ends up so maimed he has to do side work as your contact for the rest of the game.
He loses an arm too.
Yeah, maimed. He loses his arm, so he's useless as an assassin now. So you've stolen his favorite part of his livelihood. You fuck up so bad, the master takes away all of your privileges and abilities. I mean, by the end of the game, you're like, what do I care about the master anyway? Because spoilers, he's evil. But by that time, you didn't know that. You're just like, you fucked up, and he's selfish. He's a prick, and everyone's like, oh, but he's got this story arc of redemption, and he slowly learns. No, he doesn't. The best part of the story that we get is every time he talks to his buddy who got maimed, it's a slightly different tone and more like, oh, yes, I'm beginning to learn what I've done. His face doesn't change. His tone of voice doesn't change.
He has an American accent in the Middle East.
Yeah, that's before apparently Ubisoft gave a damn. But he was so boring that you couldn't, even if there was technically character development, it was hard to believe because there was piss poor acting, piss poor animation. The missions were so dull. It was the same thing every mission. It wasn't even tail somebody. It was find this guy, sit down on a bench, learn what you need to know, tail some other guy until you get where you need to go, and then kill some dude. Spoiler alert, those things were difficult as shit to kill somebody. I don't know about you guys. I think I fucked up most of them. It almost always ended in a sword fight versus me just stabbing the guy like assassin style.
Mm-hmm. I always ended up in the water that you couldn't swim in.
Yeah, my badass assassin can't swim. Are you fucking kidding me? I realize they live in a desert, but is that not a skill that you pick up? At least hold your breath and float, you moron.
It was insta-kill. My breakdown of the assassins is Altair is so boring, although I will admit he actually gets character development in Revelations.
He does.
But that's not even his main game.
It's not his game!
So sad. Anyway,
it's not even Ezio's game. It's Desmond's game.
Yeah. Ezio is freaking awesome. Connor, I have a special place in my heart. I have a special place in my heart, not for Connor, but for Assassin's Creed 3 because I like a shit ton of the side characters, but Connor I could live and do without.
Connor had the same sin as Altair. You didn't grow. You just started angry and ended angry.
Yeah, I wanted to play the game because I liked side characters. I liked the villains more than I liked Connor.
You know what? I liked Connor's master.
Yeah.
His teacher.
I liked his teacher. Yeah, his teacher was good. That was why I kept playing. And I liked the villains too. Edward was freaking awesome. The game that came out, Assassin's Creed Rogue, and Aveline, which are the side games for Liberation, Assassin's Creed Rogue, they were both cool.
Those were the female assassins, right?
Not the one in Assassin's Creed Rogue. Assassin's Creed Rogue was the last game that came out on PS3, and you played as an assassin who turned Templar. And it was actually very interesting. Yeah. Almost nobody knows they did that, because at the same time, Unity was being released with the protagonist who was a frickin' blank slate, and I actually haven't played the game fully because I get bored with him. And then Evie and I can't remember her brother's name are actually pretty good. And then they haven't made anymore. Thank God. They need a break.
Yep.
Did you guys ever read any of the Assassin's Creed comics?
No.
No.
I read one, and it was a Russian assassin, and he was fucking awesome.
Yeah. So,
I've always wanted the Japanese assassin. I'm like,
really?
I want we don't have one in Japan yet?
I want an Asian assassin. Japan, China, doesn't matter.
They did do, it's so sad because I feel like her story would be interesting. So if you watched, I don't remember if it came with Revelations, but there was a movie that basically showed Ezio's death, and there is a Chinese assassin in there, and it's a girl, and she was in a game called Assassin's Creed Chronicles, which was side-scrolling Assassin's Creed game, and I wish they had her story, because she sounds like she's probably very interesting, because not only was she there for Ezio's death, she also single-handedly rebuilt the entire Chinese assassin whatever.
That's really cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not know her name, and if I try to make one up, it's probably going to be really racist. So
you know what would be a really good in for them for making an Asian one, and since all the assassins are ancestors of Desmond, you could like weasel
not
this
anymore.
in. True. The Unity one isn't, right?
I get so confused.
Because I didn't play Unity either.
I didn't play Unity, and I didn't play the one in London.
I haven't played the one in London because I won't play until I get through Unity, which it takes me freaking 50,000 years to get through games. But anyway, the one in Unity, it wasn't a person in the Animus. It was a game that Abstergo created.
That's right. It was to train Templars, right?
Yes, but it was a game released to the public. So, which actually is a pretty creative.
Playing a game that's about playing a game.
Oh yeah, it's a little weird.
Well, they've done that in the universe now. They've said that Abstergo is is basically Ubisoft.
Yeah. Well, Liberation, which is a game I have played fully, which is the one with Aveline in it. It's actually a game that was released by Abstergo, and hackers got into it, and that's how you find out the true story of what's going on. Because of course it's Abstergo; they sugarcoated it to make it seem like the Templars were the good guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting concept when done correctly, and I think Liberation does, but I don't think they did so well with Unity, and I'm very glad they're taking a few years off to make their game format what it needs to be.
So what's your favorite way for a game to take place in the same universe but have different characters? Do you like things to be more like overt, like, oh, we are apps, like here's major references to these old characters, maybe some of those characters show up now and then, stuff like that? Or do you prefer subtle, like playing Far Cry Primal, and one of the missions is to have the guy jump off the cliff into a pile of hay, or you go into this one cave and you turn around and there's the what is it, the Far Cry Blood Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like the Far Cry Blood Dragon like skeleton there. Like, do you prefer subtle or overt for being in the same universe?
I don't really have a preference because I can go for both. Like, I liked Dragon Age, which is a bunch of, like, I mean, in the third game of Dragon Age, you actually get to meet some of the characters. Like, you get Hawk. Your Hawk comes back and you have a mission with them, and a bunch of the characters from...
That's cool, especially if they pull from your save file.
They do. They're supposed
awesome.
to. Yeah. And then you have, like, the Warden never gets shown, but he's mentioned, especially if you married to Morgan like I was. And because she's a big part of that game, spoilers, and you know, she talks about the Warden in one conversation. So I like little overt things like that. I like little direct things like that, but I also like overt things where it's not really, you know, necessarily fully connected. For example, I don't know if people know this, but well, I'm sure people do. But Nier and Nier Automata that just came out, and I'm not going to talk about it because I haven't played it yet. They are spin-offs of the Drakengard series, and they have a few references to them, but it's kind of its spin-off that's taken its own, like, life. It's really hard to explain this game to begin with, because I was trying to explain to my friend, I was like, you really have to play this game, and she was like, why? And I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's very weird.
Actually, I saw, it was a lore video. Like, have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a lore video on the Nier Automata, and it talked about all this stuff, like a war with the dragons, and that happened, which released a virus, which killed off, and the machines, and all this crap was going on. And it's just, I thought this is a single, like, just a self-contained thing. Why do they create all this backstory? Because
it's actually a spin-off of the Drakengard series. I don't remember which one it's a spin-off of, but it's like a spin-off of like an ending that happened. And then Nier Automata is actually a spin-off of one of the like 4 endings in Nier. And I can't remember which one. So it's literally the most complicated spin-off thing. And if you've ever played Nier has some very complicated endings, like including one which is actually the true good ending. And you essentially, like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but to set something right, you have to erase everything you did. And when you set this ending off, it'll say, are you sure you want to do this? Because it's a choice ending. And it actually erases your save file.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know that got a little tangent-y, but Nier is a spinoff, and it is a spinoff of a series of games, and then that other one's a spinoff. And they have, like, little references to it, but it's not necessarily direct, and it's bizarre in how the timeline is. So I like both, honestly. I don't have a preference.
Okay. Card?
I don't know. I like it being overt. Like, I remember playing through Mass Effect 2.
That's extremely overt.
No. Yeah, no, of course. But I'm sorry. I'm trying to collect my thoughts. There's one part where it's at the very beginning of the game, where you're with a ragtag group of mercs trying to go up against a single sniper, and it's like, oh, this is this. It's not Spectre, it's Ghost, or something like that.
Oh, God damn it! I have to look this up because I know what you're talking about.
Archangel.
That was his name.
That's right.
That was his code name. And I remember.
Sorry,
I remember.
Garrus is my waifu, so
yeah,
I
remember thinking, like Shepard talking to Archangel, being like, "Oh, Garrus would really like you." And then he pulls off the mask, and it is Garrett. It's like, oh my god, that is awesome.
Oh, calibrate something, Sensei.
And then, if you ever stuck around for a few conversations he has with you, like they're not like direct conversations. You don't trigger them; they're just sidelines. Like at one point, he's like, "Oh, my favorite one is." If you knew it was me, he's like, I knew it was you. I saw you approaching. If he knew it was me, why did you shoot at me? And he's like, I didn't shoot at you. I just shot blanks at you to knock your shield down. To make the others not suspicious. Because he will shoot you. Yeah, he'll shoot you. If you stand I've tried it. If you stand in front of, like, the area that people are ducking, he'll shoot you. Not enough to kill you, but your shield will go down. Completely. Yeah.
I've never done that. I've never, because I've always been like, oh, maybe he doesn't know it's me, and then I always forget that, oh no, he does recognize you.
But no,
God.
and then there's
Fun.
other stuff like Knights of the Old Republic 2. You can meet Revan as the Exile, but they don't pull from your save file. It's like a molded Revan in their armor, and they have a red and purple lightsaber. And it's like, I like what you're trying to go for here, but I'd like to meet my Revan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I will say that Dragon Age did right, because they do pull from your save file in Inquisition. So it's their best rendering of what your Hawk looked like, because the technology did change, so it's not going to look exactly the same. And your choices are kept in that game, and they're referenced, as well as in Dragon Age, as well as from Dragon Age Origins as well, because like I get a letter from the Warden about something, my Warden that I played. I get a letter from him, which was pretty cool. So
I gotta say, I think my favorite references are always subtle, but if they're going to be overt, I want them to be really overt. Like, I want something big. But I love going through a game and being like, oh, is that oh my god, that's a reference to this thing. And it's like, tucked off in a corner, like Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs. My favorite one was when I was playing, there's a ton in Far Cry Primal. Because Far Cry Primal takes place in the same landmass as the previous Far Cry.
Far Cry 4, which a lot of people cried foul over.
Yeah, it's just like, whatever. People can bitch all they want.
Because they copy-pasted the exact same map.
It's not the exact same, though. They made changes.
It's the same map. It's... Alright, from Far Cry 3 to Far Cry 4, Far Cry 3 was far better than number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they...
Yeah, okay, but... Far Cry 3 has one strike against it.
What's that?
They killed Voss way too early, and they replaced him with a paper-cut villain. That is literally... And I will say that the villains in Far Cry 4 are actually better.
I don't know, like, there's...
Far Cry 4 does have the best way to end the game.
Yeah.
Of, like, any game.
You just sit there for 15 minutes.
Just sit there.
For 15 minutes.
My boss almost got mad at me because I almost lost him a video game sale, because my boss was actually a gamer, but what he would do is he would buy a game, beat it, and then sell it immediately to someone. So he had Far Cry 4, he played it, beat it, was selling it to someone. Well, he was at work, and he just gave the guy the address of the place. He's like, yeah, just swing by, I'm the owner, just ask for the owner. He comes out, and I'm like, they're talking about the game, and I kind of talking along with them, because I was doing gamer culture at the time. And I was like, telling the guy, oh, if you want, there's a secret ending that you literally have to do nothing for. Just play the game, like 15 minutes, like not even like a couple minutes into the game, no spoilers, you end up seated at a table. Sit at that table for like, I think it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
It's 15 minutes.
It's 15
minutes. Like, sit at that table for 15 minutes, don't do anything, just sit there. Afterwards, you get a secret ending to the game that is literally an option as an ending to the game. And the guy misinterpreted me, and he's like, the whole game's only 15 minutes long. He's like, I don't want to. He's like, that doesn't seem worth it. I'm like, no, it's like a secret ending. It's something you have to do something very special for. The game assumes you don't do that. The game assumes you leave that table. There's actually no reason to stay seated at that table. But the guy almost didn't think it was the game, and then when the guy finally left, he's like, "You almost cost me like $40." I'm like, out of what, 60? You're still net lost 20.
Yeah.
No, and it's great because the villain, I forget the villain's name. Is it Ping?
Pagan Min.
Min breaks the fourth wall in that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you go deliver your mother's ashes, and then you get on the helicopter, it's like, good. Now let's go shoot some fucking guns.
I have to say, Far Cry 4 is the only game I've ever played where I actually left the dictator in power because the other two options were actually more terrible. Literally.
Yeah.
Like, I was just... When I say the villains are good and better in Far Cry 4 than they are in Far Cry 3, not considering Boss. Boss is actually very good. It's just the paper cut villain who's the head villain. He's terrible. But in Far Cry 4, like literally, the secret ending is honestly the happiest ending because you have to choose who's going to control the country, and there's 3 people, and one of them is the current dictator who's a little crazy, but actually kind of has, the country's best interest at heart. And then but he's also done a bunch of like terrible crimes. He's not that good. And then you have the one person who wants to keep everything traditional, including like beheading people for bullshit reasons. And then you have the other person who wants to modernize, but they get all their money from like child labor in the drug trade. So it's just like, what do you want to choose?
It's like, actually, the dictator is the best person here.
Literally. It's like, I'm like, this is making me question my morals.
I remember
I'll admit, I like the drug trips in Far Cry 4 with the Bill and Ted like people.
Yeah.
So we are going a little long, and I want to ask another question really quick. So do you prefer games that bring in stuff via the same universe or multiverse? Because same universe, that means they've got to operate off the same rules as the other thing that they're drawing from. When you draw from multiverse, you can draw from whatever.
Are you trying to say like, a traditional fighting game or Super Smash Brothers?
Yes. I mean, it's so like
Street Fighter or Super Smash Brothers. Like that's pretty much what you're asking, right?
Pretty much.
Like it really depends.
It really does depend on the game itself, because honestly, I've seen both versions done horribly, horribly wrong, and I've seen them done really well. So I think it just depends. It's hard. It's a hard question to answer for me because I play games in both types.
Yeah.
So I guess if I had to choose, I do like some continuity for me, just because it's more familiar and it feels like I'm coming back to something that I loved previously. But that's just a nostalgia thing for me.
I got it.
What's up?
Overt within the same universe, subtle multiverse. And my example is the 2016 Doom.
Go on.
Okay, that's actually a good one.
Because that one, like the whole thing of Doom is one over story. Like Doom, the original 2, 3, N64, and then this one. It's all one universe. And like they really bring it together in the Doom 2016 one. But at the same time, there's subtle references to Captain Kidd, which is another of its properties.
Right.
Along with not so subtle of you can find hidden areas that's rendered in the original Doom, and that's really cool. That
sounds pretty neat, actually. Didn't they do that with the new